Today I'm making a typical German winter meal. It's from southern Germany. It's called Krautkrapfen. It looks a little bit intimidating, but I promise it's easy and it's super tasty. The ingredients. So Krautkrapfen are a two-part meal. One part's the filling that goes in the noodle dough that gets rolled up, and that's primarily sauerkraut, the star of the show. This is homemade one. I have a video on how to make that. It's easy. And then you need some caraway seeds, a fat. In my case, I have some leftover bacon grease, but lard, ghee, or oil work too. Usually you would put bacon bits in there. I don't have any, so I'm cutting up a smoked sausage. That works wonderful. You can also use ham, and then a finely diced onion. And then for the noodle dough part, we need the flour, a little bit of oil, salt, eggs, and a splash of water. So first, I'm starting to make the filling. So first thing going in is the sausage, or bacon, or ham, or a mixture thereof. And we'll just let this brown up a little bit and sweat some of that fat out. This has browned up a little bit, and I'll add the onions, and we'll leave them in, and then they're gently caramelized. This looks good. Next in goes the kraut. Make sure you get all the juices in there as well. I added a fresh ground black pepper, and then caraway seeds. Be generous. It's good for digestive health, so I heard. And then we need a liquid in there, because usually the kraut doesn't come with a lot of liquid, mine anyway. So you can use water, or you can use a stock. I use chicken broth here. And there we go. And now we need to let this simmer on low for quite a while, an hour. You can make this the day before, or you can put it in the crock pot the day before. Just let it simmer there. Kraut usually has a little bit of a bite, but that's not what we want in these things in there. We want it soft. It has to all melt all the flavors together. So I'll put a lid on and just let this sit and go out in the garden and pull some weeds in the meantime. So sauerkraut with the sausage has cooked for about an hour. It's nice and soft, much better than before. And now we'll strain it. But we do keep the cooking liquid. When the liquid strains out, we need that later on. There it is. It's cooling off. There's quite a bit of liquid that comes out. It smells so good. You can cook your kraut like this too and serve it with some potatoes on the side as a good meal. This is why you can make it the night before, because this needs to cool down now. Otherwise, it'll make the dough sticky when we roll it up and cut it. So it's perfectly fine if it comes out of the refrigerator. Time to make the noodle dough. That's simple enough. All ingredients go in. Splash of oil to make it nice and smooth. And I keep, of the recommended flour, I always keep some at the side so I can add if it's too wet, because I can't take it out if it's too dry. And I'll just mix that up and knead it in a nice smooth ball, and then we'll let it rest. So it has been kneaded for quite a while. It's nice and smooth, and it's time to put it in a bowl and put some plastic wrap over it. And then it needs to sit for a while, because right now it would be absolutely impossible to roll this out thin. So the dough needs to rest, and usually people put this in the refrigerator. I don't. I leave it out, because when you take it out of the refrigerator, it's cold, and then it's harder to roll too. So I'll just put mine on the counter for an hour or so, and then we'll keep going. So the dough has been sitting for a while, and it's elastic now. And now it's time for the workout. I usually cut this portion in half and then roll it out to a rectangle, and then we'll put the filling on. First rectangle sort of is done, and here we go. This is nice and thin. You really want to get this thin. By the way, this is just a regular pasta dough. You can make ravioli with it, spaghetti, linguine, anything really. It's a great dough to have. as a standard recipe. Now we'll fill this up. So we're gonna add half of the sauerkraut mixture. Half, because I still have another half of dough left. And then this gets spread out, but leave a little bit on one side because you need to start rolling there. So just nicely spread out, you get the picture, and then I'll show you how we roll that up. If you want to roll it nice and snug, take your time. Now we'll baste this with a little bit of water so it'll stick. And then comes the last rollover. And this one is now ready to be cut. You'll need a nice sharp knife, and then we'll cut this in about 2.5 inch sections. But it depends a little bit on how tall your pan is that you're going to put it in, or your baking dish. Here we go. All the cuties are rolled up. And of course we keep these end pieces too. We'll stuff them in between. Now it's time to cook them up. So while the oven is preheating, I'll put mine in the oven afterwards, but they can't be done entirely in the pan. I'll set these guys in there. There's some more fat in there. For me it's the bacon grease again. And once they browned up a little bit on the bottom, I'll flip them over. There, already looks good and also smells good. And I'm tucking in these loose pieces we had from the end cuttings. And now it's time to, oops, I don't have it here, give me a second. Now I'm prepared. It's time to add the rest of that liquid we have. All in there. And it should come up to about 3/4 of the way, because obviously that pasta dough needs to cook. It'll soak up these juices and oh, it feels so good. If you could smell this. So now I'm putting a lid on and putting it out in the oven. Checking in 15 minutes into it, and it's absorbing it nicely and it's starting to look cooked. Oh, 15 more minutes, maybe a little more. Here we go. The liquid has almost evaporated. Let's see, there's a little bit left in there. And now I'm putting them in the oven without being covered up until it's, oops, evaporated a little more, because I like them a little bit crunchy on the outside and on top. And then it's time to eat. Here they are out of the oven. And I cut one open so we can see what it looks like inside, and I'll plate it up. And of course they would be staining up nicer if I just had 2 or 3 more rolls, but this is the pan I have and this is what happened. It looks good though, and it smells nice. Here we go. Inside you have the layers. This used to be a poor people food. Well, really for farmers, because during winter, because what there's, it has staples. So what they had was flour that was always available, some bacon that was hanging in the smokehouse, and sauerkraut because that was put in for the winter. So they made this and enjoyed it a lot, and that's what we'll do now. And here comes the kid screaming, "Mom."